Hi. First, I want to apologize. You might hear the wind. It is really kicking butt today. Not much I can do to dampen that sound from outside, so please bear with me. So, I want to talk about trance channeling. I don't do it. I don't share my space, my body. It's occupied. And I was taught at a very young age to remove things out of humans that they did not give permission for that to be there. So, in other words, I grew up with being trained that we don't invite beings into our bodies. Now, I am not begrudging any trance channeler in any way, shape, or form. That's their thing, not mine. It's just that simple. It's not for me. Well, many years later from being born, I met a person who was a trance channeler. And she recommended that I have a session with her just so I could see what it was like. I'm like, oh, okay. So she sat across from me. Her dog was on the floor under the table between us. And she started pulling, I watched the energy. She started pulling her energy back further and further back and behind her brain. Excuse me, further and further back in her brain. And then all of a sudden behind me, up in the corner where the ceiling and the wall meets, a presence shows up. And it whooshes to the side of the room, and then it heads straight for my head. And I feel it start coming in, and I fall back, and I can feel my eyes rolling back. I said some choice words. So a cleaned up version is, oh no, you didn't. You did not have my permission. This is not allowed. And so I kicked this being out. And I was so annoyed. I felt like I was vibrating. And the dog got up and put her head in my belly, and she was whining, and she was trying to calm me down, and I'm like, no. And so I felt the energy swirl back around and go into this woman sitting across from me. And once this being is settled in this woman's body, I see an overlay. In other words, I see her face, and on top of that, I see another face. And I'm like, dude. And he goes, you're still irreverent, I see. Well, yeah. I didn't know your name was Master Hilarion. He goes, yeah. Well, this dude that just entered this lady's body was one of the beings that helped raise me. So I had Archangel Michael, I had this dude, and some other people, some other beings, and an alien. And I'm like, I never knew that was your name. He said, you never asked us. So here I am with somebody that helped raise me. I had no idea the name until, my 30s, 40s, something like that. I recognize these beings by their energy signatures. And if you haven't been at my other video place, if it's not there now, it will be soon. Check it out in my link tree. It's the one that starts with an R. So energy signature tells me that this is the guy that helped raise me. And I'm like, why? Why did you try coming in me? And he said, we need you to know the difference. We need you to know truth. So you know when somebody non-physical enters the room. You know when somebody non-physical enters another being. So you have this in your reference materials, so to speak, my energetic reference material. And he's like, yeah, that was unpleasant. Don't do that again. So I didn't learn the names of most of these guides, team members, that helped raise me as a child and teach me some stuff as a child, because I didn't need names. But as I became indoctrinated as an adult, a teenager and adult, where names started becoming important for identification and referral. So I learned his name many, many, many years later. I am, again, not one to trance channel. I do channel. I do not trance channel. My channeling is, we talked about this before, about how I receive packets, I open them. But another way, and this is how it's transferred, the packets are transferred to me, is wormholes. Got a wormhole inside of my head. I have a talk coming on my website about this. It's too long to put in here. So if you ever want to check it out, it's not up yet. It's made, it's just not up yet. All about wormholes and quantum jumping. So the incident I had with Master Hilarion actually came into play a few months later, where somebody was saying they're trance channeling and was pretending to trance channel, and I had no indication there was a being there at all. And that was a big one for me to know that this person's a fraud, or this session was a fraud. So I talked to my team why this person was pretending to channel, and they're like, no, there's nobody there. So it was an important lesson for me. Again, I do not begrudge anybody. And we talked about automatic writing, which is where they use the hand. Somebody slips their hand into yours and writes. Happens sometimes. I don't do that very often because this is mine. I worked hard to get here. I worked hard to stay here. It's mine. No one else allowed in there. So trance channeling, you kind of step back in your own consciousness for another being to step into your body and utilize your body and your vocal cords and all your faculties to communicate. I once went to a psychic fair, and there was a palm reader. I'm like, sure, why not? Let's go have it done. So this person's reading my palms and telling me, very good, very accurate. Okay. And all of a sudden, the air around us changes, and I'm like, uh-oh. And I feel somebody just whoop right into him. Did not know this being. And the being proceeded to give me some information that I was younger, that really upset me. I didn't understand it. Or I understood it from a place of fear. And he's recording this session. And this being comes in, gives me this message, pretty intense. And then I can feel the vacuum as it sucks out of him, and the guy's face changes again, and he just continues on where he was right before the interruption. So we finished up, and he gave me the recording. And eventually I sat down to listen to the recording. The whole section where this being came in to give me this personalized message was not there. It was not recorded. I'm like, dang it. Dang it. So he was utilized in a trance channeling way. I'd like to think that he gave permission on an energetic level. I did not have the sense of him being hijacked against his will, but he had no conscious memory of doing it. So I don't know if he's done it before or since. I never went back to him. I went through a little, what do they call that? Dark night of the soul after that. But that's okay. It got me to where I am today. So, channeling. The channeling I do is not trance channeling. It is through a wormhole where the information comes to me, or the being steps through the wormhole, steps into my space. So he's not he or she is not in me, they're beside me, and then we communicate. And that's how I channel. Let's see what else. When it's a deceased loved one, I'm a medium, so I do channel that. Again, they're in my space, they're not in me. And if they share anything about the condition of their body when they passed over, illness, accident, whatever, I have a sense of. I do not have the physical pain. I have the essence or the sense of this pain or this discomfort or whatever they experienced. So again, it's not in my body. No, just no. All right, so that's it for channeling, trance channeling, and some of my experiences with it. Okay, thanks.